Welcome wherever you are. This is the Anglian Flaneurs and this is our first video. Today we're taking you from Kyson Point to the Milton Riverside on the fantastic River Deben. We've just parked the car, we're now walking over the railway bridge. In a couple of minutes we'll be on the River Deben. You can see we've had a fair amount of rain over the last 24 hours. Yesterday in the Suffolk area, East Anglia area, we had something like an inch of rain. After about 2 months of having very little rainfall at all, of course we're in the driest part of the country here, where we average about 20 to 25 inches of rain a year. We're at the location of the Suffolk Coast and Heath, area of outstanding natural beauty. And before we get on to the riverside and the river path, I'll tell you a little bit about Woodbridge if you've not been here before and you've not explored the area and you don't know a huge amount about Suffolk and Woodbridge. Woodbridge and Melton has a history going back to the Neolithic age, so we're talking in a region of 2000 to 2500 BC. There's also evidence in the area of Roman occupation, and it's mentioned in the Domesday Book of 1086. But those familiar with Woodbridge and the surrounding areas will know it from the famous Sutton Hoo burial site. Sutton Hoo can be found on the other side of the River Deben. If you're going to take the road to Bordsey, you'll go up the hill past Melton and you'll see it on your right hand side, and it's well worth a visit. Now, let's think about this film, The Dig, 1939. Some of you would have seen it at the cinema, and you can see Ralph Fiennes, Carey Mulligan playing the parts of Basil Brown and Edith Pretty. And it really goes back to 1939 when Basil Brown really made the discovery of a lifetime. And he found a 27 metre long ship, and in there was a burial chamber full of amazing finds from Byzantium times. There was luxurious textiles, there was a gold dress, there was an iconic helmet that you may be aware of, and the owner of the land was a lady called Edith Pretty, who's played by Carey Mulligan in the film, and she was someone who really supported Basil Brown and eventually gave the finds to the British Museum. Other people were involved in the find who were not too keen, shall we say, on crediting Basil Brown. But that's enough of the film, The Dig, for a moment. We will come back and we'll explore the film a little bit more. But let's look at this wonderful scene before us, this wonderful River Deben. You can see it's very still today. It's a very grey day, but it's still got that magical element to it. And to me, it's a history going back to the mid-70s. I was a young teenager and I used to wild swim here. I still wild swim here. So it really has a wonderful, wonderful history for me. If you're going to wild swim here, and it is a great place to wild swim, just be careful. Make sure you've got someone on the foreshore. Make sure you've told someone what you're doing. It's not challenging in terms of tides and in currents, but it is a very muddy area and you really don't want to get caught in the mud with an incoming tide, so just be careful. For those interested in wild swimming, you can Google Suffolk Wild Swimming, or you can go to the website of the Outdoor Swimming Society. You'll get a lot of help and tips while we do these videos. We'll try and always look at the element of wild swimming, even if we're doing our London vlogs, and wherever we are, if it's possible, we'll mention wild swimming. It's something we're quite interested in, and it's probably a bit of an understatement. Just to mention today, this is our first vlog. We're still experiencing one or two Technical challenges, there's a bit of camera shape. We've tried our best to eliminate that. We'll get that right for our second vlog, which will be in a week or so's time. We'll be going to Greenwich and Blackheath, and we'll be meeting our good friend Steve, who has a problem with Stratford High Street. As I said, we've mentioned our second video coming up. There will be a lot of London vlogs. I'm from London myself, even though I've lived in Suffolk now for the last almost 30 years. After leaving it as a teenager, I was living here for 2 or 3 years in the mid to late 70s. As you can probably tell, the accent is not Suffolk. This is pure Kent and Dartford and the Bexley Heath area. It's something I can't get rid of, and having worked in London for almost 40 years now, that's just how the accent is. As we said, this is our first vlog, so we're not really sure quite how to do it. Should we talk a bit more about history and various other facts, or should we maybe mute ourselves and just let the scenes sell themselves? I'm a little bit more leaning towards the latter, but as I said, please let us know. Inspirations for these videos have come from 2 sources really. We're big supporters of John Rogers, The Lost My Way. I'm a patron of his, and Jules Guides, and I think they mention sometimes that the scenes sell themselves, perhaps to talk less, and that's the way to go. But as I said, please let us know. We've just done a broad sweep around the footpath from Kyson Point and Marlsham Creek. We've still got the river to our right, and very shortly we'll be seeing Woodbridge, and we'll be going close to some playing fields, the railway line, Ipswich to Woodbridge. Also to our left very shortly you'll see the local rowing club, you'll see the community hall, and the leisure centre swimming pool. We're now in a very small basin by the railway station, and you can see there's barges and boats here, residential now. And on the left hand side very shortly we'll see some offices, some flats, some housing. Got a history here. My mum used to work just in this office right at the end of this. In the distance we can see Woodbridge Tide Mill. Still a working tide mill, one of only 2 in the country. There's a reservoir at the back, and the reservoir fills up when the tide comes in, and then the waters are released in order to work the mill. The area to the left has been redeveloped. It's past history with shipbuilding, ship repairing, and now there's some very desirable flats there, many retirement flats. It's also the site for local craft markets, so it's got its usual delis and coffee shops. We're now leaving the tide mill and we're taking you on a footpath to Milton Riverside. The railway line will be very close to our left hand side. We're not too far away from the river. There's some industrial units, some local businesses to our right hand side. I just want to revisit where we were earlier in the vlog. We were talking about the film The Dig, but some of the scenes you may know of the area, you may have seen on the vlog today. might be very reminiscent of a comedy that came out a few years ago, and it's one of my all-time favourite comedies called The Detectorist. And it featured the adventures of Andy and Lance, played by Mackenzie Crook and Toby Jones. In The Detectorist, we see that Lance and Andy, they're on the trail of the resting place of King Setred of the East Saxons. The scenes you've seen today on our vlog, they may be reminiscent of what you saw in The Detectorist. The Detectorist was filmed on various sites around North Essex, South Suffolk and the Framingham area, and hopefully you may be able to see the association when I walk along this path. I do think of The Detectorist, and I just think of those wonderful scenes with Andy and Lance and their competition with Simon and Garfunkel, played by Simon Farnaby, who's now been playing a prominent part in Ghosts, and Piers Quigley, and hopefully you enjoyed those scenes as well. Now, who is the central character that ties in the dig and the Detectorist? Well, that character is Johnny Flynn, who did the theme song to The Detectorist. I think he also is in one of the episodes in the first series when they had a musical night at the local pub, and of course you'll see him in the dig as well. He's made his name in Emma, a bit of a rising star. So he's the common thread that runs between the Detectorist and the dig. We're not too far away now from Milton Riverside. There's a car park there. We're very near Melton railway station as well. On the left hand side are some very good places to pick sloes and blackberries, if that's something you're interested in. On the right hand side we can see some more boats. There's still some residential boats here. Some have been converted into coffee shops, and we're heading in the direction of Woodbridge, and from that direction you can head out towards Rendlesham Forest, or you could head out in the direction of Sutton and Boards. Just look at these wonderful scenes we have before us. We just saw a discarded hull of a boat, and we're now looking downriver. The river starts at Felixstowe Ferry, and some sort of 8-9 miles away. But let's look at these scenes. What we see in front of us is, I think it's a converted naval vessel. To be honest with you, I haven't really got a clue what it is. But if you know, and I'm sure there's much more learned people out there than I am, then please let us know in the comments. It's been converted to a coffee shop. But we're seeing some further evidence now, storage of boats, various boat repair places, and that's what you'd expect to see, isn't it, along a river like this? Who doesn't want to spend their time boating along the River Deben? I've got two friends, Kev and John, who store their boat at Martlesham Creek, and looking out for them today, but thinking about it, they don't really come out on the boat unless it's about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's considerably cooler today, so I don't expect to see them. In the distance is Milton Riverside. We're just continuing along the path here. We should be there in about 5 or so minutes. And about a mile and a half to our right hand side, just up the hill, will be Sutton Hoo. As I said earlier, very much worth a visit if you're staying in the area on holiday or you're just local. We're just passing the railway line now by Melton railway station, and we're coming to the end of our walk. So thank you very much for joining us on this walk. I believe our wides are going to cross the road about 100 to 150 yards ahead of us. That's going to take us into Honey and Harvey for some tea and Victoria Sponge. Well, that's how we roll. We're going to behave ourselves today. But I promise you, on the London walks, we'll be imbibing something slightly different at the end of our walks. But of course, we're on our best behaviour today. We're just trying to do the right thing. We'll see you very shortly. Blackheath and Greenwich, as I said earlier, will be with a good friend of ours, Steve, who has a problem with Stratford High Street. We'll go into that in a little bit more detail in our later walks, but we're looking forward to Greenwich and Blackheath, so hope to see you very soon. Hope you come back. Please let us know in the comments how you feel we've done. Let's be honest, we know we've got some improvements to do in the quality of the filming, but we'll get there for the next video. As I said earlier, thank you very much for joining us, and we wish you to have a good day, and hope to see you again shortly.